Imagine standing in the shadow of one of history's greatest empires, hearing whispers of visions that foretell the rise and fall of nations, and realizing those visions still echo today. This isn't just a history lesson, it's a glimpse into the divine tapestry of time. Stay with us, because by the end of this journey, you'll see how ancient prophecies may shape the world we live in right now. And hey, if history and mystery intrigue you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Plus, we'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think these prophecies mean for us today? Comment below and join the conversation. Now, let's dive into the story of Persia and the prophecies of Daniel. The year is 539 BCE. In the heart of Susa, capital of the Persian Empire, in a small, dimly lit chamber of the palace, a scribe named Ezra meticulously transcribes ancient scrolls. He is tasked with documenting the words of the prophet Daniel, a man whose visions have startled kings and defined empires. Tonight, however, something extraordinary disrupts his work. As Ezra writes about the rise and fall of kingdoms, the oil lamp flickers, casting strange shadows across the room. A sudden chill fills the air. He looks up to see a figure, glowing faintly, draped in flowing white robes. The figure speaks, its voice resonant yet calming. Ezra, preserve these words, for they are not of man, but of the divine. Persia's fate is woven into the fabric of eternity. Stunned, Ezra listens as the figure recounts visions of the distant future, a coalition of nations rising against Israel, led by a ruler from the north, with Persia among them. The figure emphasizes Persia's dual destiny, as a chosen instrument of restoration and a harbinger of conflict. With a solemn command to protect the scrolls, the figure vanishes, leaving Ezra trembling. He realizes he has witnessed something extraordinary. The night marks the beginning of a secret lineage of watchers, individuals dedicated to safeguarding these prophecies through the ages. As Ezra returns to his work, he knows his actions are not for his generation, but for a time yet to come. Decades later, the empire of Persia ascends to unprecedented heights under Cyrus the Great. Known for his military prowess and statesmanship, Cyrus is no ordinary conqueror. He establishes one of the most tolerant and inclusive empires of its time. In 538 BCE, he issues the Edict of Cyrus, allowing exiled Jewish communities to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple. For the Jewish people, Cyrus is not just a king. He is a fulfillment of prophecy. Isaiah 45 had named him the Lord's anointed, a shepherd who would restore Israel. Across the empire, celebrations erupt as communities long separated by war and exile begin their journeys home. Meanwhile, in the royal court, advisors whisper warnings about the cost of Cyrus's generosity. Yet Cyrus remains resolute, believing his actions are divinely guided. On a crisp autumn morning, Cyrus stands atop a balcony overlooking the bustling capital of Persepolis. He surveys his empire. From the distant mountains of Anatolia to the deserts of Egypt, Persia's dominance seems unshakable. But unknown to him, the seeds of future conflict are already sown. In the shadows of the empire, hidden watchers preserve Daniel's prophecies, chronicling the geopolitical shifts that align with ancient visions. They note how Persia, though chosen for restoration, will one day be entangled in a dark alliance against Israel. For now, Persia basks in its golden age, unaware of the trials that await in the distant future. Amid the height of Persia's power, a man kneels alone in prayer. Daniel, now an elder statesman in the court of King Darius, has served through multiple reigns. His wisdom and integrity have earned him respect, but it is his connection to the divine that sets him apart. One night, as Daniel prays for his people's future, he is overcome by a vivid dream. In his vision, he sees a powerful ram with two massive horns, charging fiercely across the land. The ram's dominance seems unstoppable until a goat with a single, prominent horn appears. The goat charges with unimaginable speed, striking the ram and breaking its horns. The ram collapses, defeated, as the goat's horn grows even larger. But suddenly, the goat's horn is shattered, replaced by four smaller horns pointing in different directions. Daniel awakens in a cold sweat, confused and disturbed by what he has seen. The angel Gabriel appears, explaining the vision. The ram represents the kings of Media and Persia, while the goat symbolizes Greece. The broken horn signifies the death of Greece's leader, replaced by fragmented powers. Daniel's heart sinks as he realizes Persia's glory will not last. The dream confirms what he has long feared, that human empires, no matter how powerful, are fleeting. Daniel records the vision, aware that its full meaning will unfold long after his time. In the coming days, he speaks of the vision sparingly, knowing it holds truths too heavy for many to bear. Persia may thrive today, but its destiny is part of a greater, divine plan. Persia falls in 330 BCE to Alexander the Great, and the once mighty empire begins to fade. Yet, its cultural and intellectual legacy persists. Persian architecture, literature, and governance inspire generations, blending into the emerging Hellenistic world. Scholars in Alexandria marvel at the works of Persian astronomers and mathematicians, ensuring their knowledge endures. Hidden from public view, the Watchers continue their work, copying and safeguarding prophetic scrolls. They note the shifting alliances and observe how Persia's fall mirrors Daniel's vision of the shattered ram. Centuries later, these scrolls find their way into the hands of Jewish exiles, sparking hope and fear. Though Persia no longer rules the world, its spiritual and prophetic significance remains. Beneath the surface, seeds of future alliances begin to sprout. Small groups of traders and diplomats link distant nations, forming connections that will one day fulfill Ezekiel's prophecy of a coalition against Israel. The Watchers observe these developments with growing unease, understanding that Persia's role in the divine narrative is far from over. Centuries pass, and the Roman Empire rises and falls. Amid the shifting sands of history, the Watchers focus on Ezekiel's prophecy of Gog and Magog. According to the ancient text, Persia, modern-day Iran, will form a coalition with nations from the far north, interpreted as Russia, and others like Turkey and Libya. This alliance will march against Israel in a climactic battle. The prophecy describes a massive force attacking from multiple fronts, aiming to destroy the chosen nation. However, divine intervention will thwart their plans. As the Watchers connect the prophecy to contemporary events, they see the first glimmers of alignment. Trade routes between Persia and northern territories strengthen, and shared political interests emerge. Though the coalition is centuries away, the foundations are being laid. The Watchers meticulously document these developments, knowing they point toward an inevitable future. In 1979, Iran undergoes a seismic transformation. The monarchy falls, replaced by a theocratic regime led by Ayatollah Khomeini. This new government embraces hostility toward Israel and the West, declaring itself a champion of resistance in the Middle East. For the Watchers, this marks a pivotal moment. They see the echoes of Ezekiel's prophecy in Iran's political alignment and its growing alliances with nations like Russia and Turkey. As theocratic Iran expands its influence, the Watchers recognize the beginning of Persia's end-time role. Iranian leaders openly call for Israel's destruction, funding militant groups and spreading anti-Israel rhetoric. These actions align eerily with Ezekiel's vision of a coalition united against the chosen nation. The Watchers, now operating in secrecy within a world dominated by modern technology, record these events meticulously, knowing the timeline of prophecy is accelerating. In the early 21st century, Iran deepens its ties with Russia and Turkey, forming a strategic bloc that mirrors the coalition described in Ezekiel 38. Military agreements are signed, joint exercises conducted, and shared political goals emerge. These alliances shift the balance of power in the Middle East, challenging Western influence. The Watchers note with unease how these developments fit perfectly into the ancient prophecy. Meanwhile, Iran expands its military presence in Syria, establishing bases and deploying troops near Israel's borders. Proxy groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, funded by Iran, intensify their activities. For the Watchers, these moves are not merely geopolitical, they are the fulfillment of a divine narrative. As the stage is set for the prophesied conflict, the Watchers prepare for the inevitable. By 2020, Iran's regional ambitions grow, with increasing investments in missile technology and nuclear development. Western intelligence agencies track covert operations, revealing Iran's nuclear facilities hidden deep within mountain ranges. In response, Israel escalates its intelligence and military operations, launching covert strikes on Iranian assets. Tensions rise as both nations prepare for a potential direct conflict. On the international stage, Iran strengthens its ties with Russia and Turkey, forming economic and military agreements. For the watchers, these alliances are ominous. They recall Ezekiel's prophecy, where these nations unite to attack Israel. The watchers also note how Iran's ideological opposition to Israel has deepened. Public declarations of wiping Israel off the map reverberate through international forums, echoing the prophetic warning of Persia's role in the end times. Behind the scenes, Iran's leaders pursue strategies to evade Western sanctions, fostering deeper collaboration with China and other nations seeking to undermine the global status quo. The watchers realize the pieces of the prophetic puzzle are rapidly falling into place. The Middle East becomes a battlefield for proxy wars. Iranian-backed Hezbollah and Hamas increase their attacks on Israel, while Israel launches precision strikes on Iranian facilities in Syria and Lebanon. Civilians bear the brunt of the devastation, and global leaders call for restraint. For the watchers, these skirmishes are a prelude to the greater conflict foretold in Ezekiel. They see how Iran's proxies are part of a larger strategy to destabilize Israel and prepare for an eventual large-scale assault. Meanwhile, Iran's alliances with Russia and Turkey deepen, with joint military exercises taking place near Israel's borders. The watchers note the alignment of these nations, as described in the ancient texts. With each passing year, the watchers feel the weight of Ezekiel's prophecy growing heavier, sensing the approach of the prophesied Gog and Magog war. In a hidden underground library, the modern-day watchers gather. They study Ezekiel 38 to 39 alongside intelligence reports and geopolitical maps. The text warns of an alliance led by Gog from the land of Magog, interpreted as Russia, including Persia, Turkey, and other nations. The watchers debate whether the time has arrived for the prophesied attack. Some argue the alliances are not yet fully solidified, while others insist the signs are unmistakable. The room fills with tension as they consider the weight of their mission. For centuries, their order has safeguarded these prophecies, but now they must decide how to act. Should they warn global leaders or remain in the shadows, trusting divine intervention? As they deliberate, a voice echoes through the room. The Lord's plans will prevail, whether through men or miracles. The watchers fall silent, aware that they stand on the precipice of history. Military preparations escalate across the Middle East. Iran, Russia, and Turkey announce a series of joint drills, alarming Western powers. Israeli intelligence reports heightened activity along its northern borders, with Iranian forces entrenched in Syria and Lebanon. For Israel, the threat is no longer theoretical, it is imminent. International leaders scramble to broker peace, but diplomatic efforts falter as tensions rise. The watchers monitor these developments closely, recognizing them as the prelude to the prophesied invasion. Within their circle, a renewed sense of urgency takes hold. They double their efforts to interpret the ancient texts, searching for clues about the timing and nature of the coming conflict. As they study, one phrase from Ezekiel haunts them: "I will bring you out with hooks in your jaws." The watchers understand this as a divine summons, drawing the coalition into a war they cannot win. The invasion begins, just as Ezekiel foretold. A massive coalition of forces marches on Israel, their numbers overwhelming. Yet, as they approach, the earth trembles violently. Massive earthquakes split the ground, throwing armies into chaos. Hailstones, fire, and sulfur rain down from the heavens, striking the invaders with precision. Witnesses describe the scene as apocalyptic, with natural disasters dismantling one of the largest military forces ever assembled. In the midst of this chaos, the watchers realize the moment has come. The prophecies they have studied for generations are being fulfilled before their eyes. They weep, not only for the destruction but also for the undeniable power of the divine hand. As the invading armies turn against each other in confusion, Israel stands unscathed, a testament to the God who defends it. As Ezra documented Daniel's visions, he couldn't have imagined how far-reaching their implications would be. Here's a thought for you. Do you think prophecy is merely an ancient interpretation of geopolitics? Or could it be something more? Something divinely inspired? Drop your theories in the comments. We'd love to know what you think. As the dust settles on the battlefield, the scale of the destruction becomes clear. Israel emerges intact, but the invaders' coalition lies in ruin. The Watchers document every detail, noting how each event aligns perfectly with Ezekiel's prophecy. News of the miraculous intervention spreads globally, sparking debates among world leaders, religious scholars, and the media. Some call it divine judgment, while others search for scientific explanations. In Iran, Russia, and Turkey, the governments reel from their losses. Political instability and civil unrest take hold as citizens demand accountability for the catastrophic failure. The Watchers, though relieved by Israel's survival, know the prophecies are not yet fully complete. They turn their focus to the future, aware that Ezekiel's narrative speaks of further conflicts and ultimate judgment. In the wake of the miraculous victory, a spiritual awakening sweeps through Israel. Citizens and leaders alike reflect on their survival, attributing it to divine intervention. Synagogues fill with worshipers, and ancient traditions are revived. For many, the events mark a return to their faith, as they recognize the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. The Watchers observe this spiritual revival with a sense of awe, knowing it too is part of the divine plan. They see echoes of the prophecy in Ezekiel 39 verse 7. So I will make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let my holy name be profaned anymore. However, the Watchers also understand that this is not the end. The prophecies speak of a greater conflict yet to come, one that will encompass the entire world. They prepare themselves for the next chapter of the divine narrative. As the Watchers focus on Israel's renewal, a darker force begins to rise on the global stage. A charismatic leader emerges, uniting nations under the banner of peace and cooperation. Initially seen as a savior for a world weary of war, his influence grows rapidly. The Watchers recognize him as the Antichrist, described in Daniel and Revelation. He calls for a one-world government and introduces an economic system that requires allegiance to his authority. Nations, desperate for stability, pledge their loyalty. Iran, though weakened from the failed invasion, aligns with this new power, seeing an opportunity to regain its strength. The Watchers intensify their efforts, warning those who will listen of the dangers ahead. They know the Antichrist's rise signals the approach of the final battle between good and evil. The Antichrist introduces a revolutionary economic system requiring citizens to adopt a mark on their right hand or forehead to participate in commerce. The Watchers recognize this as the fulfillment of Revelation 13 verses 16 to 17. Resistance groups form, refusing the mark and warning others of its spiritual implications. However, the majority comply, drawn by promises of stability and prosperity. In Iran, this system is embraced as a means of recovery. The Watchers note the eerie precision with which ancient prophecies unfold. They connect the global shift to the rise of the one-world government and the inevitable conflict it will bring. For them, the question is no longer if the end times are near, it is how soon they will arrive. As the global government consolidates power, resistance movements grow in secrecy. The Watchers, now embedded within these groups, share their knowledge of prophecy, urging resistance against the Antichrist. Underground networks form, smuggling food, supplies, and information to those who refuse the mark. Iran's leaders, fully aligned with the New World Order, hunt down dissenters with ruthless efficiency. The Watchers face increasing danger but remain steadfast, driven by their mission to preserve truth and faith. They work tirelessly, documenting events and encouraging believers to endure. The Antichrist solidifies his power, forming a coalition of nations for a final assault on Israel. Iran plays a key role, providing resources and troops for the campaign. The Watchers, though scattered and in hiding, continue to relay warnings. They recall Revelation 16 verse 16, which speaks of the armies gathering at Armageddon. As the coalition amasses near Israel, the Watchers feel the weight of history pressing upon them. They know the moment of divine intervention is near, but the scale of the conflict terrifies even the most faithful. The coalition of nations marches to the plains of Megiddo, also known as Armageddon. The landscape, arid and unassuming, becomes a staging ground for the most significant battle in human history. Forces from Iran, Russia, Turkey, and other nations position their troops in a show of overwhelming power. The Watchers, scattered across the region, document the gathering forces while sharing encrypted messages with the resistance. Prophecies from Revelation and Ezekiel replay in their minds, vividly aligning with the sights before them. Tensions rise as Israel mobilizes its defense forces, though they are grossly outnumbered. Across the globe, the world watches in horror, sensing that this confrontation will redefine history. Religious leaders from various faiths call for peace, but their voices are drowned by the roar of approaching war machines. The Watchers pray, knowing this is not just a human battle, it is the stage for divine judgment. As the armies finalize their positions, the heavens erupt in a series of catastrophic signs. The sun darkens, stars seem to fall from the sky, and the earth quakes violently. Panic spreads among the soldiers, some abandoning their posts in terror. The Watchers, though awestruck, feel a sense of vindication as they witness Ezekiel's words manifesting before their eyes. They know that the stage is set for divine intervention. Leaders of the coalition struggle to maintain control, dismissing the signs as natural phenomena, but their forces falter under the growing fear. Across the world, people tune in to broadcasts, watching as nature itself seems to rebel against humanity's hubris. The Watchers send final warnings to believers: stand firm, for God's hand is at work. As the battle is about to commence, the heavens unleash divine wrath. Earthquakes split the ground beneath the coalition forces, swallowing entire battalions. Massive hailstones and fire rain from the sky, striking with precision. Ezekiel 38 verse 22 is fulfilled as chaos overtakes the invading armies. Soldiers turn on each other in confusion, their alliances dissolving into mistrust and violence. Israel, untouched by the destruction, watches in awe. The Watchers, hidden in various locations, drop to their knees in prayer, overwhelmed by the unmistakable display of divine power. Across the globe, viewers of live broadcasts witness the unexplainable devastation, leaving many to reconsider the divine prophecies they had dismissed. The once mighty coalition disintegrates entirely. Leaders of the invading nations are captured or killed by their own panicked forces. Survivors retreat, their armies broken beyond repair. The Watchers reflect on the prophecy's accuracy, amazed by how Ezekiel's words align with the destruction they have witnessed. In Iran, Russia, and Turkey, political turmoil erupts as citizens revolt against their defeated governments. The Watchers note that while this battle has ended, it is not the final confrontation described in Revelation. They prepare for what they know will be the ultimate culmination of God's plan. News of the miraculous victory spreads globally, shaking political and religious institutions to their cores. World leaders scramble to interpret the events, while citizens grapple with the undeniable evidence of divine intervention. In Iran, leaders frame the disaster as a temporary setback, vowing to rebuild. Religious factions within the country split, some acknowledging the divine judgment, others clinging to defiance. The Watchers work tirelessly, sharing their interpretations of the events with believers worldwide. They warn that this is only the beginning of a larger, more universal conflict prophesied in Revelation. As global instability worsens, the Antichrist consolidates his power, claiming the miraculous intervention was a natural phenomenon he predicted. He promises a new era of peace, but demands absolute loyalty. Nations rebuild their alliances under his authority, setting the stage for the ultimate battle between good and evil. The Watchers, now in greater danger than ever, go underground entirely, continuing their work in secret. They know the final war is approaching, one that will transcend earthly boundaries and involve all of humanity. In the aftermath of the coalition's defeat, the Antichrist rises as a beacon of stability. His rhetoric, polished and persuasive, resonates with nations desperate for order. Under his leadership, a one-world government takes shape, offering an economic and social system that promises prosperity for all who submit. His influence extends even to once opposing nations, including Iran and Russia, which find themselves rebuilding under his vision. He mandates a new global currency and economic standard, which ties every transaction to allegiance to his rule. The Watchers, hidden in various parts of the world, observe these developments with growing alarm. They recognize the fulfillment of Revelation 13 verses 16 to 17, where the mark of the beast becomes necessary to buy or sell. Citizens are told the mark represents unity, yet those who resist are ostracized or worse. The Watchers strengthen their underground networks, smuggling food and resources to the faithful who refuse the mark. For them, the rise of the Antichrist signals not peace, but the countdown to the final battle. The tension builds as the world appears to rally under one banner, unaware that this unity will soon give way to chaos. Meanwhile, whispers of rebellion echo among the faithful, who cling to the hope of divine deliverance. In Israel, spiritual leaders urge the people to remain vigilant, interpreting recent events as the beginning of the end foretold in Revelation. The Watchers know they must act carefully now, for the Antichrist's forces are relentless, hunting down any who oppose his rule. Yet they remain steadfast, holding to the belief that God's plan is unfolding as foretold. They remind themselves of Revelation's promise that no matter how dark the times, the faithful will endure. Across the globe, small enclaves of believers refuse to submit to the Antichrist's rule. In underground bunkers, abandoned churches, and remote wildernesses, they gather to worship, share resources, and prepare for what they believe will be the ultimate confrontation between good and evil. The Watchers integrate themselves into these groups, sharing their knowledge of prophecy and offering hope. They read from Revelation, reminding the faithful of the promise that Christ will return to vanquish darkness. However, life in hiding is fraught with hardship. Surveillance drones scour cities and countrysides, hunting for dissenters. Food and medicine are scarce, and the temptation to join the global system for survival grows stronger with each passing day. Families are torn apart as some members accept the mark, while others refuse. In one such enclave, deep within a mountain range, a watcher named Miriam speaks to a group of refugees. She recounts the story of Daniel, who defied an empire's decree to worship false gods, and reminds them that their faith will be rewarded. As she speaks, the group is interrupted by the distant hum of a drone. Panic spreads, but Miriam calms them, urging silence and prayer. The drone passes, and the group breathes a collective sigh of relief. In these moments, the Watchers see both the fragility and resilience of the human spirit. Though the world seems entirely under the Antichrist's control, pockets of resistance endure, bound together by faith and the hope of divine intervention. The Antichrist consolidates his power, shifting his focus to Israel. He declares the need to neutralize the nation for global peace, painting it as a destabilizing force. Nations, including Iran, Turkey, and Russia, pledge full support, aligning their militaries under his command. Israel, isolated and vastly outnumbered, braces for the inevitable assault. Inside Israel, a remnant of believers continues to pray and prepare. Among them are Watchers, who work tirelessly to decipher the final elements of the prophecy. They know that the final battle will not merely involve nations, but will be a confrontation between the forces of heaven and hell. As the coalition's forces amass near Israel's borders, the Watchers communicate in secret, warning allies of the imminent danger. Across the globe, signs of the end multiply: earthquakes, strange celestial phenomena, and plagues spread fear and chaos. The Antichrist, unfazed, declares these events as further proof of his authority, claiming he alone can bring peace to the world. The Watchers, though scattered and weary, remain resolute, They see in these signs the promise of Revelation 19 verse 11. Then I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. The one sitting on it is called Faithful and True. They know that the darkest hour is often the precursor to the dawn. The armies of the world converge on the plains of Megiddo. Coalition forces, led by the Antichrist generals, march with an overwhelming show of power. Israel's defenders, though vastly outnumbered, prepare for a desperate stand. The watchers, positioned across the battlefield and within Israel's cities, witness the opening salvos. Missiles streak across the sky, and explosions rock the ground. However, just as the coalition begins its advance, the heavens erupt in unprecedented fury. Lightning splits the sky, striking with precision. As the earth quakes violently, the invading forces falter, their formations breaking apart. Then comes a deafening roar. A white horse appears in the clouds, ridden by a figure shining brighter than the sun. The watchers fall to their knees, overcome with awe and relief. Revelation 19 verses 19 to 21 unfolds before their eyes as the armies of heaven descend, led by Christ himself. The coalition forces, disoriented and terrified, turn their weapons skyward but are no match for the divine army. Chaos reigns as soldiers flee, their leaders struck down by the power of the word. Israel's defenders watch in awe, their weapons lowered, as the battle becomes a spectacle of divine justice. The Antichrist's forces are utterly defeated, his generals fall, and the coalition armies are consumed by the wrath of God. The Antichrist himself is seized and cast into the lake of fire, fulfilling Revelation 19 verse 20. Across the battlefield, silence falls as the remnants of the invading forces surrender. Israel, though battered, stands victorious, not by its own strength but by divine intervention. The watchers, some of whom did not survive, are honored by the faithful as those who carried the torch of prophecy through the darkest times. Survivors recount the events as a testament to God's sovereignty, recording the details for future generations. Across the globe, the news of the Antichrist's fall spreads, sparking both jubilation and fear. Many who had aligned with his rule now repent, seeking forgiveness and refuge in faith. For the watchers, this victory is bittersweet. Though the forces of evil have been defeated, they know the ultimate culmination lies ahead, the final judgment and the establishment of God's eternal kingdom. With the Antichrist defeated, the earth experiences a profound transformation. The millennial reign of Christ begins. As foretold in Revelation 20 verse 4, nations are restored, and the faithful are rewarded for their perseverance. The watchers, their mission complete, fade into history as humanity enters a time of peace. Jerusalem becomes the center of the new world order, not by human design but by divine decree. Pilgrims from every corner of the earth travel to the holy city, seeking wisdom and guidance. For the first time in millennia, humanity lives without war or suffering. The Watchers' chronicles, preserved across generations, are placed in the temple as a testament to the faithfulness of God's promises. The final chapters of Revelation promise a new heaven and a new earth, and the faithful look forward to the day when all creation will be restored. For now, they live in the light of Christ's victory, knowing the story has only just begun. The story of Persia, its golden age, and its role in prophecy teaches us that no empire lasts forever. Yet their legacies can echo through eternity. But what do you think? Are these prophecies a warning, a roadmap, or something else entirely? Share your thoughts below. We can't wait to read them. And if you found this story as fascinating as we did, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into history and prophecy. And share this video with someone who loves unraveling ancient mysteries. Until next time, keep exploring the echoes of the past to understand the present.